Okay, so let's get into this song. It's a very basic song, and basic meaning, we're using a lot of the simple chords that most of you probably already know. If you don't know your basic chords, then I suggest you kind of review those. I'm going to assume that you already know them. This is what we call a chord solo, and what that basically means is we're combining the melody and the chords together. What I like about a piece like this or an arrangement like this is that it's kind of self-contained, meaning you don't have to sing with it. It's got the melody, it's got the chords, and it's a great kind of simple song that you can play for family, friends, or whoever. And so this is kind of a beginning song. There's a beginner song. This is there's a couple tricky little chords in here. It does incorporate a bar chord. So just be aware of that. But I think overall it's a fairly simple song to play. So I'm going to go ahead and play through the song, and then we're going to walk through this whole thing. So here we go. So that's the song, and it's basically in the key of G, and there's, like I said, there's a few little tricky chords in there, but let's go through each one at a time. Now, one thing I want to point out is that I'm trying to keep the melody at the highest pitch of each chord. That helps make the melody kind of stand out. So as you're kind of maybe working on some of these of your own, coming up with your own arrangement, kind of that's a good starting point. It's not like you have to do that every time, but it's like a good kind of starting rule of thumb, I guess you can say. All right, so let's get into this first chord. It's based off a G chord, and I'm not playing a full G. Sometimes we see Gs that are with all these fingers here, second, first, and third, and fourth. Sometimes you see a G where it's just this bottom note here. And so this one is actually, we're going to play all the way up to this second string open. We're not going to use the first string, so we don't even need these two fingers here. So here's this first part of the melody. And then I'm going to add my first finger on the third fret. That's on the second string there. So one more time. And then I'm going to get into his D chord. This D chord, I'm going to play like this. The reason why I'm playing like this is because the melody is on top, or on the top fifth fret on the first string, right there. So there's a couple ways I can do this. This is one. I could even play a D shape like this, which is, if you know the cage system, it's coming from the A shape. It's like that. I'm going to use this one because it's kind of in this region right here. But if that's a hard stretch for you, then just play the melody note. You don't have to worry about the chord. All right, then it goes back to a G. This part I'm going to actually play that full G here, so we get this. Just like that. And so the melody goes from, on that G chord, it's going to go from the first string to the second string, so we get just like that. Then we're going to go to a regular C chord, but I'm going to play just to this note here, that second string. Then we're going to go back to a G with this one open. Hit that twice, and then I go to an E minor chord, and then I'm going to walk up on this second string like this. So I'm using start with the open, and then I go to the first, and I go to the third. And my goal with all these chords is to get them to ring out as long as possible. That kind of helps give it some thickness and nice texture to it. If I just play the melody by itself, it's fine, but having that chord ring out as you play the melody really adds to it. So it sounds like this. I'm using my first finger and my fourth finger to play that melody on that second string. Just like that. All right. Now the next chord is an A minor 7. And an A minor 7 is basically an A minor chord, just lift up that third finger. Pretty simple. Next chord is D7. But we're actually going to play, since the melody is right here, we're just going to play a simple D. So sometimes, even though it's D7 written in the music, depending on what the melody is, then I may have to play a slightly different version of that chord. Instead of playing a D7, I'm just going to play a regular D because it's just a little bit easier in this area. You can play a D7. It's the shape looks like this. And that puts that melody in the same spot, which is nice. If you don't know this chord, it's basically like a C chord, adding our fourth finger on the third string, third fret, and then sliding that whole shape up 2 more frets. The root is right here. This is a good movable chord because we can move it up and down the neck of the guitar, as long as you're playing the middle 4 strings of that shape. So that's another option for that. So backing up to that A minor 7, it sounds like this. To the D. The second version of using that other D7 sounds like this. I like that. That's a good one. So you can choose either one. Next part is just basically going to repeat. So I'm just going to go real quick through this. So this part was where it gets a little bit different. Before I went to an E minor, this is going to go to a D. Melody is going to be right here on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. Open. And then to the 2. So that phrase sounds like this. Then we go to a G. Do it again. Good. And then we're going to get to the bridge, which is going to be, the melody is going to be up here. Again, if that's hard to get this stretch on this chord like this. So it looks like, I know from the video, it looks like I'm using my third finger. I'm not. I don't know what would be a good view. It looks like that. So I'm basically playing fourth finger here, second finger right there, and then my first finger right there, just like in the beginning. So I'm going to hit that. Again, you can play this chord up here if you wanted to. And then it's going to go use this as the melody, which is the next note. Play that twice. So the beginning of that sounds like this. And then we're going to go to a regular D chord, then lift up for open, and then to the second string. That's all the melody right there. That's a good movement in the D chord because you're going to see that in other songs. Then we go back to a G and do that same thing where we play the open second string and then add that third finger right here. And do a regular G chord. Then we're going to go to a C. We're going to strum to this first string here. And then we're going to add our fourth finger to that note right there, which is the G, which is on the 3rd fret, first string. So backing up to that open string, it sounds like this. And then you add your fourth finger to that. And then we get into a nice fun chord here, which is the A7 bar chord. Ah, I love it. I love it. Nice, full and rich. So this one can be tricky, I know, especially if you're starting off. So what you can do again is simplify it, play that 5th fret, and then the next note is going to be the 3rd fret. You can do it nice and simple like that. If you want to challenge yourself, play the bar chord. If you know a regular bar chord, major bar chord, it's the same, basically the same shape, except you lift up your 4th finger. Make sure you get that first string because that's where the melody is. Just like that. All right. The next note is going to be this this note right here, which is a G. So you're going to go from this A7, add in your 4th finger, and that is definitely not a basic move here. So, but if you can get it great. If not, don't worry about it. I'll show you another way. So if you can get at least that chord, you can also go down to that same melody note here, down over here, and you can play the A7 like this. And how this is being played is I'm barring my first finger across the fourth, the third, and the second string. And my third finger I'm using on this third fret on the first string. You could use your second finger. I think either way is good. This just feels more comfortable for me. Doesn't matter, you can, like I said, you can go either way. So that backing up, it sounds like this from that A7 bar chord. That would be like version 2 of that. And then we're going to get into we're going to go to a D7. Just a standard D7, open D7. I always think of that as a reverse D. It's a backwards D. Melody is right there. And the melody now is going to go to that. So you can use a simple D chord, strumming just to that second string for that melody note. You could use that other D7 that we talked about earlier. So if you did that, it would sound like this. If you didn't do that, it would sound like this. Oops. Yeah, either way works really nice. And then we're going to go to a G chord. So it looks like this. Just like in the beginning, right? Playing this string open, second string, and then adding our third finger right here on the third fret. We're going to go up to that melody again. Kind of a lot of repeating kind of stuff in here. Right? And then we go to a G, full G, using both these fingers here. I'm setting up, the reason why I'm using both these fingers is because I'm setting up the melody to be played here and then here. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to add or subtract anything to this shape. It's all right there, which is nice. Then I go to my standard C chord. And then I'm going to go to my G chord. Adding that same kind of movement right there. Then I go to a D. Again, the melody is right here. You could, again, use your D7. As long as that melody is right there, that's what we're going for. And then we're going to play the open string. I like this version because of what's this next phrase, how this next phrase goes. We play the melody here, and then an open string, and then adding our second finger to the second fret. There we go. And then finally finishing off to a G. So that ending little bit sounds like this. All right. Not too bad. I think you guys can do this. Let me know if you have any questions. Give me some feedback. I want you guys to learn this and get better. See ya.